believe that, because it's just like, all right, if you're going through the secondary orifice, if you're doing that, I can't think of an instance. I can't really think of an instance where where what you see on the television is less like real life than with regard to that, because you watch that sort of thing happening on the interwebs, or if you're lucky enough to stream the porn straight to your large screen TV like I do, you watch it on TV. And in those situations, they don't kind of like it's sort of like, brace yourself, I'm coming in dry, wham! And you can't go through life like that. And it can be painful, and it can be dangerous. And look, your kids are going to see this somewhere. You cannot keep it from them. And if you're not willing to step up as a parent and have these tough conversations about the adult world that is being thrust upon children in this day and age earlier and earlier, they're going to get it somewhere else. And that somewhere else could either be school, which might not be an ideal situation, but trust me on this, it's better than them getting their education with regard to anal sex on the interwebs. Go with me on this. I'm right. I'm often open to interpretation and other people's opinions, but if you don't teach your kids about this stuff, the interwebs will. And if you don't have the cojones necessary to teach your kids about this stuff, then having it happen in school, that's the next best move. Yep, that's what I think. No, that's not what I think. That's what I know. What else?
Companies like Netflix, Mozilla, and Kickstarter slowed down their websites yesterday to protest new FCC regulations that could affect net neutrality.
Yeah. The Obamacare website also ran slowly as part of its year-long protest against efficiency. What else?
China is now IKEA's fastest-growing market.
Interesting. So they went from building the Great Wall to assembling so rickety bookcases.
I like my Sporkins. Those are nice.
I was going to ask, how are the Skorgs holding up? It's been a couple of weeks, and that stuff that you put together from IKEA, how's that doing? Because maybe it's my fault, but whenever I purchased IKEA furniture, or furniture that requires any kind of assembly, it takes about a week, and then pieces of it start falling off, and I'm like, oh, come on.
Yeah, I lost a drawer already. I had to put
See?
it together. Every time. It's like a month in.
Yeah. For you, less than a month. Yeah, now, do you blame
bad craftsmanship? That's what I blame. Not my screwdriver.
Do you blame the Skorg, or is it user error? Were you not skorging correctly?
I didn't skorg properly, and that's what happens. They give you one of those tiny little Allen wrench things. It's like an inch long to build a hutch. I lost a drawer.
Yeah, and that principle by which, pressure is greater when it's exerted over a smaller area. It's why a pin hurts so much more than a finger if it pokes you, because it's, more pressure being exerted over a smaller area. It's a principle of physics, I believe. You know that idea? Mm-hmm. Because those Allen wrench key things are so thin when you're putting together your IKEA furniture, the pain that's involved when you're trying to tighten them up to the appropriate thing, it's a lot of pressure exerted over a small area because the Allen keys are so thin and tiny, and you wind up sort of like, I always bleed when I'm trying to get IKEA furniture to be appropriately tight.
It's part of it, I think.
With a teeny tiny, it's part of the happy frustration. What else?
Well, New York City police are testing body cameras.
Right. Yeah, they're actually going to force cops to wear cameras or have cameras on their body. The idea is that everybody puts on their best behavior when they know they're being recorded. Like in elevators. Go on.
And finally, William and Kate are having another baby, as we said before.
Yeah. It's always exciting when there's an announcement that the world... It's always exciting when there is an announcement that the world can celebrate. But enough about the iPhone 6. Let's talk about the royal baby. The baby's going to be fifth in line to the throne. there's a lot of people that have to die before he gets there. The baby's going to be fifth in line to the throne, behind Charles, William, George, and thanks to a really weird technicality, Mario Lopez. Go figure. So what was it like? You were pretty much working your first real job in radio, September 11th, 2001, when the Twin Towers went down. You were on the other coast. You were in California. What was that like for you? What happened?
Yeah, it was my first time. I had just advanced from being a sweaty intern, punk teenager, to producing a talk show that had been on the air up in Ventura County for like 25 years.
Wow.
And the co-host of the show, the guy that reads the news, was going on vacation. And they had joked about every time somebody goes on vacation from the show, something happens, like the Northridge earthquake and, just some devastating, big, huge global thing happens. So the day before, I had never been on the air really before this. I was just, like a call screener, and they popped me in here and there. But what was it, 8:46 that we started getting the news of everything happening over there, and that's 5:46 Pacific time, and the show started at 6. So the night before, I was up sweating and prepping for reading the news at 20 years old to a radio show that had an audience a lot older than me. And I was preempted. We were all preempted, and we went, wall to wall with news. And my job became running around to the other radio stations and telling them to get off the air and stop talking and turn on the TV and check out what's going on, and let's regroup and figure out what to do for the next 2 weeks. And then 2 weeks we were off the air, and nobody played music or nobody really talked locally, and that started my broadcast career. So it's surreal to me.
You it started your broadcast career, and you immediately handed the keys to the station over to CNN.
Mm-hmm. Wolf Blitzer.
Yeah, in that particular situation, your radio career started with you must have been like, oh, this is easier than I thought it would be. When something big happens, we just give it over to Wolf Blitzer.
Yeah, I knew at that point it's okay to throw away prep.
Yeah,
there's no way you're going to use it.
Let me ask you this: it's not related to 9/11 at all, but like. You, as a producer, prep for people, provide reams and reams of stuff to potentially talk about on the air. Sometimes you even help people, figure out their angle on it. Like a lot of people, I do, and it's not because Funkhouser doesn't provide awesome prep, but like I'm this sort of like kind of control freak. I have to figure out my own stuff and know what I'm going to do with it. And I just, people have tried to help me with this before, and I guess I'm not very good at taking help. But unlike me, a lot of talk hosts don't even know what the hell they're going to talk about, and they often don't know what their angle is on it until someone like Funkhouser comes along and goes, hey, here's the piece of news that you need to be covering. Here is a potential stance that you could take on it. Like people like Funkhouser really, really put a lot of work in to making significantly less talented and gifted people sound good on the radio. But like as a guy that preps for a lot of folks and provides reams and reams of content, how pissy do you get about it when none of your work is used and a lot of it's thrown away, and you're just like, well, thanks a lot for nothing, like I provide you Pulitzer Prize winning stuff and you instead choose to talk about your dog or whatever. Like how
I consider myself in that seat being like the net, like the net below the performance. So if you fall and land on the net, great. If you don't, great. It doesn't really bother me.
Oh, that's good. That's a very grown-up way of looking at things. It's just
another day on the job.
I'll leave you now with a quote again because I think it's so important. December 31st, 2001, after New York City had a chance to regroup a little bit, our mayor, Rudy Giuliani, said the attacks of September 11th were intended to break our spirit. Instead, we have emerged stronger and more unified. We feel renewed devotion to the principles of political, economic, and religious freedom, the rule of law, and respect for human life. We are more determined than ever to live our lives in freedom. You know how
Other times you feel like it's cool to turn the other cheek and give people the benefit of the doubt even when they don't deserve it. And sometimes you feel good about yourself for being the better person and doing that. Well, this is not one of those times.